Welcome once again to another episode of Knuckle Up with Mike Orr at 4. And a very special guest today joining us, Donovan Boucher. Right on. So, lead us away, Mike. Go ahead. Go for it. Let's go.
Well, first of all, Donovan, thank you for joining us, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. You had 40 fights in your career, 33 wins, 7 losses, 18 knockouts. How did you get into boxing? How did this lustrous career of yours start?
Yeah, well, first I'd like to say thanks for inviting me to your show. I appreciate that, and I'd love to speak with you. I'm going to do so right now. How I got into boxing. Well, a buddy of mine, named Chris Amos, he's the one that got me really started in the sport of boxing. He used to box. I used to play hockey, football, and all those things back in the day. Soccer. I wasn't really interested in getting hit. When I saw him, when I saw him doing it, he keeps on asking me every day, "Can you come down to the gym, Butch? Come down to the gym." I'm like, no, I'm not really interested in boxing. And then after, he kept bugging me enough times, I said, okay, fine, I'll come down and check it out. So I went down and check it out. And I went down to Newsboys Boxing Club. That's where I used to train at the time. That was on Queen Street. So I went down there and I started, working out a little bit. I went to the first day. I went. Tony Unitas, he owned the gym. Tony Unitas said, "Yeah, you look, you got some talent there, kid." I'm like, "Yeah, really?" So I said, "Oh, okay." I came back the next day, and he goes, "I got a fight in a week. Would you like to take part in an amateur fight?" Back then, I was like 14, 15 years old. So I said, amateur fight. I just started, a day or so ago. Amateur fight already? Wow. Myself, this guy wants me to get beat up or what? So anyway, I just I said, all right, I'm always game. I'm always game when it comes to when it comes to fisticuffs or anything like that. I love the sport of boxing back then too, right? But I never thought I would want to fight. So anyway, he goes, "You want to fight? I got a fight coming up next week. Would you want to take part?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I trained a couple more days and I fought on the amateur card, and I won. I got a trophy. I was like, "What?" I was ecstatic. A trophy, like a kid got a trophy. It's like a big achievement back then. You get a trophy. It's like, holy cow, I got a trophy. I was like, "Hey, Mom, I got a trophy." Because where'd you get that? I go to the fight because my mom goes, "Oh, yeah, you're not fighting. I don't want to get beat up. You're my only son. I'm not gonna sleep." I said, "Don't worry about it, Mom. I'll be all right. I'll be cool. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine." She kept going, "I want to see you fight." But so anyway, I continue the career, the amateur part of it. Chris Amos, he got me into it, and he basically he couldn't continue because he was always bleeding every time he gets into a fight in a ring.
He's a bleeder, eh? Oh.
Yeah, he's a bleeder. He's a bleeder. But so that's how we got started. And then we went on. I didn't make the Olympic team because there was a lot of politics back in the days.
There's tons. There's tons.
We've
talked to a lot of Canadian boxers in the last couple of weeks, and then they've said the same thing, that when it came to the Olympic teams, there's so many politics in the way. Even with the women, I guess, especially with the men. But I guess it's something that was out there all the time, right?
Right. Yeah, no, there is. There's a lot of politics in the game. So back then it was '84 Olympic Games. Like I said, I went to try for the Jamaican team, and I brought a friend along. I was supposed to go down there for the 147-pound division for the amateur, I brought another fighter with me, and he was supposed to go at 139. I was supposed to go 147. And after we got down there, he's kind of bickering around. Says, I can't make 39. You go down to 39. Well, listen, I can't make 39. And we start arguing back and forth. So I say, listen, fine, I'll go to 39. I was at the dry out. I was weak going into the fight. You know what I mean? So I lost to the Jamaican fighter, and he went to 84 Olympic game, and I went home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my dream to go to the Olympics. Canada, it was like forget Canada. It was like, you know what I mean, I wanted to go for Canada, but I mean too much politics. So I just went to another path, the Jamaican path.
Right.
And so that didn't materialize. So it's after the 84 games, I said, you know what I mean, if I'm gonna continue this sport, I'm not gonna stay out. So I turned pro. Didn't want to. My mom was, you know what I mean, like, nah, I want to see my son get beat up again. I'm like, I never got beat up in the first place, but she goes, yeah, it's a tough game, blah, 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 blah. You know, you're my only son. I don't want to see nothing happen to you. I said, don't worry about it, Mom. I'll be fine. I said, you know, I know how hard I train. I'm confident within myself how hard I train. And I basically turned pro under Peter Wiley, for the Cabbage Town Boxing Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, you know, after the Olympics, he won silver medal. In LA, I thought he won the gold medal. Sean O'Sullivan, you know what Sullivan is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, my career started the professional when in '84 after the Olympic game, after Sean O'Sullivan came back to Canada winning a silver, which I thought again he won the gold medal. And
Right.
so there was a lot of action going on in Toronto. So I said it's a great move. You know what I mean? I'm with Peter Wiley, Sean O'Sullivan, so it was getting a lot of fights in Canada and Toronto back in '84, '85. You know what I mean? So I said, I'll go that route. You know what I mean? I'll train with you guys and train with Peter Wiley. I get a lot of fights. So I was getting fights after fights, and I was winning. So I said, okay, it's cool. This is good. I like it. So I got a chance to fight for, you know what I mean? I got a chance to fight for the Canadian title. And I think it was my 10th or 11th fight.
Yeah, I believe it's I think your 10th fight.
Yeah, and I went to Halifax to fight a hometown kid, Danny Winters. His name was Danny Winters. I fought him in his hometown, and I beat him. I'm like, okay, another stepping stone along the way of my career. So yeah, things are looking good with Peter Wiley winning the Canadian title in my 10th fight, 11th fight. So I said, yeah, nice. Okay, so we're going on, and we're still in the business of the boxing world. I know it's a tough game. It's a tough.
And at this point, how many years have you been boxing now? Like only two, maybe 3?
Well, no. I had a little.
Like, I mean, as a pro, like you're only about a year in, right?
Oh yeah. As a professional, yeah, I had about a couple of years with Peter Wiley and winning the title with them. Yeah, so I think it was a couple of years, maybe 3 years or so. But anyway, I won that title, and it was Peter was basically had Sean. Sean was his money guy.
Golden boy.
Yeah, the golden boy for boxing, like Daniel Alan. You know, I mean, winning the silver medal. So basically, he was more or less his guy. So we had a lot of good fighters: Tony Morrison, Sadiq Suleiman. We had Terry Francis, John Calvin. It was extraordinary, great bunch of guys, great bunch of good fighters back then. They had a good camp. We had a real good camp, and so we just basically trained together, and we fought on professional shows, and I came out winning the title, which was something a good accomplishment, I thought, on my part, winning the title. Eventually, Sean was doing his career. I was doing my career. Sean ended up fighting Simon Brown. You know, I think it was kind of early for him to fight Simon Brown, which he did, and he lost. He lost that fight. You know, I mean, I was winning my fights, and I was still Canadian champion. So after fighting Simon Brown, Louis Santana, the North American title, you know, what I mean, he was basically figuring himself out. Where should I go in boxing? So I had the title. I had the Canadian title, and
Right.
he figured that he's the marquee guy for Canada. He should have my title. What I won, I trained hard for, and I won. So you know, I mean, we had to split part. Peter Wiley was training John, and Peter Wiley was training me. So Peter Wiley wanted to train both of us, and then after John get the title, we could all be together again. I'm like, excuse me, I have to get my title. Or you, well, hold on a second. I didn't get you right. You know, after John beat me, you want my title? You want me to be with you? Like something is not right here. So I said, yeah, no. No, something is definitely not right. Sean, I've got a title, and you want me to fight Sean, and then you supposed to win, and I'm supposed to go into oblivion, and no, it's not happening. So I went with Irv Ungerman. I'm like, no, this is not right. So I went to Irv Ungerman. This is my story, and that's how it is. I went with Irv Ungerman. Irv Ungerman, you know, he was getting me fights. I went over to England, and
and you won the Commonwealth title.
Yeah, over in Scotland.
Yeah, so you went over there and showed them what Canada had to offer, and you brought that title back home with you.
There you go, Mike. Yeah,
man. Trust me. I checked it all out, man. I know you held that Commonwealth belt too.
Yeah. So you know, so basically they're calling me like the road warrior. Every time, you know, what I mean, I won the title overseas in Scotland, in Gary Jacobs' backyard. They had the judge, the referee is the one that, you know, raises your hand after the fight.
Yeah.
So they had all those guys in basically in their pocket. So anyway, I took a chance. I said, yeah, you know, what I mean, I'll come. I'm a Canadian champion, yeah, and I'm in line for a title, a Commonwealth title fight. That's en route to a world title fight. So I'm saying,
right.
Yeah. So I'm saying, okay, this is good. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll take the fight. I left Peter Wiley. I was training with Chris Amos and Ray Rodder. Ray Rodder, bless his soul, he passed away several years ago. He was a great guy. He was, one of my guy that I wish, you know, I mean, things, you know, wasn't like that. But anyway, rest in peace, Ray. Yeah. So anyway, we went over there. We trained hard together. It was just three of us. And the funny thing is, going into that fight, what I can remember was they were booing me like crazy. You know, Gary Jacobs is our guy. Boo, do this and that. I'm like, holy cow, man, we're in hostile territory here. It was me, Chris. We were like the only brother or two brothers in the
yeah, totally.
I'm like, yo, all right, oh man, like, yo, this is crazy. I'm like, yo, man, everybody's like booing us. I'm like, oh, look at how crazy. So, you know, wait, are we in the right place here? Should we be here? But anyway, the fight went on. Oh, long story short, I beat him.
Yeah.
They all came on my side. They're booing Jerry Jacobs after.
You put on such a good performance that you spun that crowd around.
Yeah, they just switched. They switched on it. Like, yeah, we didn't like him anyway. He was a I'm like, yo, this is crazy, man. I'm like, oh my God, they're lifting me up, signing autographs, and I'm signing on their back and everything. I'm like, oh, this is. So from there on, you know, things just started gelling. Things just rolling after that. I'm like, yeah, you know, I mean, My mom said I was gonna get hurt, and look at I'm a Commonwealth champion.
Yeah,
I'm
right. And Canada champion too, right?
Canadian champion. I'm a Commonwealth champion. Yeah. So we just.
Did your mom ever come out and see you fight?
Oh, you know something? Yeah, she did. After she's like,
After you had the belt on, right?
yeah. Oh, she was at a Mickey Hughes fight. Yeah,
that was a good fight. That was a good fight. I watched that. Thank you for suggesting to watch that one. That was a brilliant fight, man. You were in great shape. And honestly, man, I don't want to get hit by you. Honestly, I saw that power, man, and the way you close that distance and just rape that body, man, like I could feel it, man. I had to go to the washroom after, man, and just, and let those bowels go, man, because I felt like my insides got beat up, man.
Yeah. Well, it's all about working hard, working with somebody that's competent in the sport of boxing. Ray Rudder and Chris Amos. We train hard together. I know what was at hand that I had to do. I was running stairs. Hyde Park, the hills at Hyde Park. Scarborough Bluffs. I used to run Scarborough Bluffs.
Oh, that long ass hill.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I don't even like to walk that hill, let alone run it. I'd rather drive that hill.
I appreciate that. I knew how hard I trained. So, that's why I came out of the sport pretty good, because when people are partying, I'm training.
Right.
That's why things materialized the way it did. Yeah, I fought Mickey Hughes. I was going on the road to fight all these. I fought in England about 5 times. I was beating all these guys until I got unlucky, and I fought one of their tough little kid. I can't remember his name now. But did you remember his name?
Oh, I can find it out for you right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. You got unlucky against Lauren?
Yeah.
Iman Lauren?
What was his name again? Lauren.
Yeah. Iman?
Eamon Lochran.
That's it. Lochran.
Eamon Lochran. Yeah, I didn't want to go over there and beat them anymore. I was like, no, seriously. I was going over there enough times, and they said, "Oh, come on over. This is easy fight. Yeah, this is easy." So that's kind of like when you hear that. I don't know, for some reason I wasn't training like
That's
hard. I wasn't really, maybe I was getting cocky. I'm not training, saying, "Oh, maybe yeah, they're not that good," but I know it means a lot to them, the Commonwealth title.
Yes,
it means a lot to England and Eamon Lochran. The young kid. I was in my 30s. He's a young buck, and I don't think I prepared myself mentally. I think I wasn't mentally prepared enough because I didn't want to go back over in England. I wanted a world title fight. I was promised a world title fight, so I said, okay, fine, I'll come. I'll do it. I didn't get, back then I didn't get paid like today. If I was fighting with my skills that I had, we're just talking about that with my trainer, with my skill that I have today. If I was fighting today, Mayweather can touch me. I'm telling you. I know Mayweather from when he was yay high. I tell you after. But anyway, that's later on. Yeah, so I wasn't really in the mindset of going over there and fighting again. If you can understand.
Yeah.
Fighter. I was like, okay, I want to fight for a world title. I need a world title fight. I'm tired of coming here enough times and beating all you guys in England. So I was known as the road warrior. The road warrior is somebody that goes on the road and beats all their guys, and so I was
just dominates, man.
Yeah,
dominates on the road.
Yeah, on the road. That's the toughest thing to do.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's hard to go into somebody else's house and take a win.
Exactly.
It's hard to do that.
It's hard to do that. Even like football. Football is one of my favorite things. I love the game of football. To go into somebody's hometown.
Yeah.
Into their stadium
and take that title.
That's the hardest thing. People don't realize that. Go walk into the ring. For me, walking to the ring is like, what am I doing here? I'm thinking in my head, Like, what am I doing here? I could get, you know, and nobody would care. But you know, what I mean, I'm not from here. No, you know, what I mean, I'm not from here, and nobody cares about you. You know, what I mean, I'm going there as the opponent. You know, what I mean, so I'm like, okay, well, you know, what I mean, I know what I do. I got to prepare myself mentally and physically going in some fights. You know, what I mean, nobody's gonna beat me. Like the Mickey Hughes fight, like the Mickey Hughes fight.
Yeah,
I
that was.
was so focused. Like nobody could beat me that night.
You looked like a
So,
machine, man. You looked like you were on a mission in that fight for sure.
yeah, I
For
appreciate
sure.
that. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Do you think would you say that was like the hardest and most exciting like title defense he had?
Title defense. Uh, yeah, I think that. Yeah, that was that was one of the harder because he hit me one shot to the body, and I froze. I didn't show it to nobody, but
No,
you know,
I didn't see that.
I know you probably didn't see that because I was like I couldn't move. I was like, oh. I was like I was stuck when he hit me. I had to just like breathe it off and then after I just get myself back together, get my composure back together. Yeah, yeah, he was a tough guy. He's like a Chavez kind of fighter because he idolized Julio Cesar Chavez. If you know how he hits the body.
Oh yeah,
Julio.
we know all about him.
Yeah,
I did a special on him a while back.
right. So yeah, he was a body puncher, and that's what Mickey used was he, he tried to imitate Julio, and when he hit you to the body, man, I felt it. I didn't want to get by this guy no more. I said, so let me go on my bicycle and start and moving. You know, what I mean, a style like him, it was like a perfect style. I got to move on him. You got to think on him. You got to outthink him. You know, boxing is a thinking game. You know, what I mean, you just don't go into the ring and think that you're gonna blow people out. You know, what I mean, first round, second round, you see what kind of style he's got. So basically, you know, what I mean, I try to figure him out the first couple of rounds. I said, okay, this is what he's got. You know, what I mean, he wants to get you on and hammer those body shots. I said, okay, so let me start moving on this kid. This kid was it was a good experience for me to fight him. So, you know, what I mean, then I didn't want to go back to England. So, you know, what I mean, after that, so that's when I fought Eamon Lochran. And, you know, what I mean, it was like, hey, he got lucky. You know, what I mean, boxing, it's how you get up. When you get knocked down, you got to get back up and you got to, go on. You know, what I mean, if you're in good shape, you'll get back. That's one thing. Every time I get knocked down, I always get back up and finish the fight on my feet.
Right.
You know, what I mean, these kids today, I try to tell them, listen, you gotta train hard. You gotta dedicate yourself if you're gonna do sport of boxing.
Are you still involved in like training the youth of boxing, or like do you train or coach now?
It's one of the things. I'm a WBC referee.
Yes, I noticed that you've refereed, I don't know, like 50, I don't know, fights or something like that. I just saw that's pretty interesting. I'd like to hear how that came about.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that. How that came about. Training kids. Yeah, I like working with the youth. You know, what I mean, I train my son. I got a son that his mother's kind of scared for him to fight. My son, he's talented. He's a soccer player. He's a hockey player. But he loves to come to the gym when I go to the gym, and he wants to go in there with me. So we go in there. We do body work, no headshot, just body shot
Right.
to the body. And he's good. He's good, but his mother is deterring him from going into the ring.
Would you like to see him get in the ring?
He said he wants to do an amateur fight. But I don't know. His mother's kind of like reluctant about that. I was like, oh.
Definitely have to sweet talk her, right?
Yeah, well, he said he wants to do an amateur fight. You know, what I mean, but the way things are now, you can't really train or do nothing like that. But sometimes he does the pad work with me. He's a good kid and he's a smart kid. You know, what I mean, maybe he goes to university one day. And that's his goal is to get a scholarship in soccer. like my two daughters. I got two daughters also too, and they got scholarships in soccer and stuff like that. One
Oh,
is
wow.
one is going to Howard University in Washington D.C. and she's on the soccer team. She's
Wow. Wow.
yeah, so, she's got a scholarship for that, so they're doing good, really good. And my other daughter, she had scholarship to Saint Effects in Halifax in Nova Scotia. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was kind of too far, and it was kind of too far, and for being in the city of Toronto to go to some place like Antigonish. I don't know if you're Antigonish. You know Antigonish?
No, no.
Yeah, it took me 24 hours to drive there to bring her
Oh
to
my
school.
gosh. No,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to drive there.
On the Trans Canada Highway. It was a journey. It was a journey. But yeah, they had scholarship there. But she didn't. She goes, I can't stay here, Daddy. It's too quiet. After coming from Toronto, going yeah. That's what the education you're going there for. You know what I mean? Don't worry about, you know what I mean?
Don't worry about the noise. Worry about the study.
What noise, you know. But she came back here. She went to York and she finished, and so she's doing good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you become a ref? How did that like? So you retired from boxing. Your career went from the '80s all the way up into the 2000s, and then you're like, "Hey man, I love this so much. I'm gonna step in the ring again and watch these guys beat the crap out of each other." How did that come about?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really like that, but you know something because I fought here. I know when I came back, I was 46 years old. The commission here had me locked down for 10 years, not fighting in Toronto because I was fighting on the world stage, and I had a little dot on my brain from a CAT scan. From a CAT scan, I had a dot on my brain. So after the MRI, that's what the MRI showed a dot. So I said to the doctor, you know, I mean, what is this? He goes, really, I don't know. It's nothing. Basically, it's the dot on your brain. It's inconclusive. I don't know what it is. I said, really? So the commission said, no, you can't fight. No, you can't fight. No, you can't fight. 10 years. So I was going on the road and I was fighting on the road. But he was saying that I was fighting in Vegas. I signed with Don King. I'll tell you about that after too.
Oh wow!
You got time for me?
Yeah, man, we got all the time in the world, man.
I don't want to talk too much. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want to over talk.
It's okay. Or see, if anything, if it goes too long and our producers have to cut us off, then there's always part 2 tomorrow.
My career is a long thing, and I'm in the process of doing a book also about my life and my career, my path, and try to influence other kids that, you know what I mean, don't give up life. I mean, even though I'm a small little kid from Toronto, I was on the world stage. I never thought it was possible that I could accomplish the goals that I accomplished. You know what I mean? I never, you know, a little guy from me come from Toronto. I'm like, and here I am fighting in Old Trafford Stadium, and for the world title. Anyway, that's a good. I thought it was a good accomplishment. But anyway,
you must have had nerves of steel to be able to step into some of these stadiums and fight, man. Like honestly, like nerves of steel. Because honestly, me walking out in those certain situations that you were in, I know I'd be shaking in my boots, man. Just from the sheer like nervousness of being around, like all these great places.
Yeah, believe me, Mike. I was scared to death. You know what I mean? I was scared to death. You know what I mean? I fought for the North American title against Glenwood, the real beast Brown, in his backyard in New Jersey. You know, that's where he's from. Yeah, he beat me. You know what I mean? Sometimes going into these guys' backyard, it's tough. It's tough, and you gotta take a lot of things, and don't worry about a lot of things that's blocking your vision from accomplish what you want to accomplish. Well, I was trying to do that. I wish I had a psychologist back then. Somebody to talk to, but I just did everything basically on my own with my trainer. With Irv Ungerman got me a couple of fights to fight for when I got against Sean O'Sullivan. Yeah, against Sean. Where we at? I went from overseas to back to Toronto.
Yeah.
let me stay overseas, or you want me to continue on the Canadian path?
Graham, do you have any questions you want to ask Donovan?
I just wanted to tell us about Don King.
Yeah, man. Let's hear about Don King. Let's hear about
Don King. Okay, Don King. Wow. Yeah, I guess he knew my career, and I was supposed to sign with Shelly Finkel. I don't know if you know Shelly Finkel. He had like Holyfield. He had like Pernell Whitaker. He had even from here we got Egerton Marcus was with Shelly Finkel. You know, I mean, he had a lot of guys. Holyfield. I don't know if I mentioned Holyfield, but anyway, he wanted to sign me. He brought me down to New York for a meeting, and he saw me. He goes, "Oh man, we'd love to have you with us." He brought me down there for, you know, we had lunch and dinner, whatever we had, and he said, "Okay, so you know, this is the contract and stuff like that." I go, "Listen, I gotta go home and I gotta think about it. I gotta go back to Canada and think about it." So I went back to Canada and I thought about it. And then I said, "You know, I mean, no, I'm not gonna sign. I'm not gonna sign with you." And after I said that, he said, "You would never fight for a world title. You would never do this. You would never do that." You know what I mean? You know who I am? I'm Shelly Finkel. I'm a promoter. I'm the best promoter in the business. I'm like, well, you know what I mean? I'm going another path. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, you know, just because I talk to you doesn't mean that I'm gonna sign with you. So these guys are trying to tell you that if you don't sign with them, you're not gonna fight for a world title ever. I'm like, man, I see how this business is. This business is like, yo. So I said, okay, listen. My buddy goes, "Go, would you talk to Don King?" He goes, "Don King," because because back in the days, Don was making a lot of people a lot of money. I don't believe it or not, he was, you know, I mean, he had a lot of promotions, a lot of fights happening with Don King. You know, I mean, Don King was bigger than life back, you know, I mean, back in the 80s, or you know.
Oh yeah, he was a giant back then.
Yeah, he was a giant. So I said, listen, man, I'm gonna go with Don. Because Don was, you know, I mean, he's well known, he's well, you know, I mean, he's well versed, you know, I mean, with a lot of fighters, and you know, I said, okay, listen, let me try Don. So, you know, I mean, I talked to, you know, I mean, Aaron Snowell, Carl King. So I went with Don King, and Don King said, "Listen, kid, you know, what I mean, I could get you a world title fight, no problem. You know, what I mean, with your ability and with your record, I was like 18-1 or 17-1. And with your record, you know, we could move you quickly." So he got me a fight in Vegas. I fought in Vegas. I won. Some guy, I can't remember his name, but I won. He wanted to set up something with me and Hector Camacho. I said, yeah, you know, I mean, I'll fight Hector Camacho. You know, I mean, I'll fight anybody, because back then I didn't care about Hector. I don't know who Hector Camacho was. You know, I'm like, yo, I'll fight Hector. You know what I mean? I guess Hector looked up my record and he looked up who I am, and that fight wasn't on. I'm like, yo, okay, so you know what I mean? We basically we got in the mix, and I got in the mix, and he came to me one day. He goes, "Hey Boucher, we got a fighter overseas, the world title." After fighting a couple of fights in the States, he goes, "I got a world title fight for you." I go, "Yeah." I was at camp. I was in Orwell, Ohio, training. You know what I mean? I was in there training with those guys I was fighting. And he goes, I got a world title fight." I go, "Really?" I was like, "Wow, world title fight." I'm like, "Oh my God, a world title fight. This is for a world title." I'm like ecstatic. I'm like going crazy. Calling home, "Yo, Mom, I'm gonna fight for the world title." I go, "Who you?" He goes, "You know who you're gonna fight?" I go, "No, who is it?" I said, "I don't care who it is." He goes, "It's a guy named Crisanto Espana." I go, "Crisanto Espana?" And I go, "I don't care. It could be King Kong." And then after I checked this guy out, this guy was 10 feet tall. This guy was 10 feet. He was tall. He was tall, long arms. And so anyway, I was training by Aaron Snowell. We went over to England, Old Trafford Stadium. Old Trafford Stadium. Um, I was with Frankie Randall at the time. So we used to work out together. We used to work out in Orwell, Ohio. Frankie Randall is a good fighter. He fought Chavez. We're working together. When he fought Chavez, he beat Chavez that night. So
Okay.
it was amazing. But anyway, Don King got me to fight. So we trained. I was on Don King camp for about 2 months. Boring as hell. There was like we're in a town. We're in a Amish town. These guys they drive buggies and with horses. People wearing black hats and they all just
Amish. You're in an Amish town, so there's nothing around.
yeah, there's nothing around Orwell, Ohio. So all we have to do is train.
Yeah.
All we have to do is train and the camp. We got people come in and make food for us, and they leave, and they come back and make dinner again for us, and they leave, and everybody's at camp. We'll play ping pong and we play, pool. And there's one pay phone in the gym that we call home. This was like just boxing. You know what I mean? If you want to be a world title fighter, if you want to be a champion, this is the place to go. And back then, this was the place to go. Yeah, Tyson was there. We had Frankie Randall. We had Terry Norris. Had Terry was there. We had crazy heavyweight that he was crying in the ring. Remember what's his name was crying? He was crying in the ring when he fought.
There's a couple guys.
The heavyweight. But anyway, his name eludes me right now. But anyway, it was amazing camp with lots of fighters, lots of trainers was there, and we trained there. Head off to England, Old Trafford Stadium. Me and my crew, Aaron Snowell, Carl King, and the rest of the Don King crew. I'm coming from. None of my guys was with me. Like I just basically on my own as a one single Canadian fighter, want to fight for a world title. I'm petrified. I'm petrified of me going over there. I've got no father figure with me. Bless my, rest in peace to my dad. He passed away when he was 24 years old. So my mom, she didn't come to that fight. It was just me. None of my guys came with me from Toronto. It was me alone as a Canadian going there to fight
for a world title.
Kid from Venezuela.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was with me alone. A kid from Venezuela I'm fighting. And I'm like, okay, we had a press conference and stuff like that. Formalities, everything, the formalities of boxing, press conference, the whole 9 yards. He looked skinny at the press conference at the weigh-in. The weigh-in, when I saw him, I was like, this guy, I'm fighting this skinny guy. I'm like, okay, all right. I feel confident. I got a shot with this guy. And fight night. We got into the ring. By the way, it was an October night. I remember it was October, vividly October night. The walk to the ring was from here to Young Street. Yeah, from like Davenport, from where that's how long the walk was to the ring. The ring. I'm like, this. Where is the ring? I'm walking, and people are pulling Don King, and the security guys are pushing people away. And I'm walking behind Don and Aaron Snowell and Carl King, and it was like 50,000 people.
Wow!
At that fight, 50,000 people. I'm like, I look around. I go, where am I? This is amazing. I'm like, I'm like in a dream. It was like a dream. I'm like, like I just woke up in a dream. Like I'm really here. I mean, I could get hurt. I'm like, anyway, this guy when he came into the ring, Crisanto Espana, he walked himself into the ring with his crew and the whole bit. He came into the ring and he took his robe off. I'm like, what? I'm fighting like a heavyweight. This is a totally different guy. I'm fighting. like I'm serious, Mike. I don't know if this guy was on steroids or anything like that. No, but he was tough. He was big, bigger. He was big. I'm like, there's no way. He's 147. This guy got to be like 180.
Wow.
So anyway, the fight took place. The fight went on. You know what I mean? His arm was longer. I couldn't get close to this guy.
Wow.
He was peppering me from post to post. Yeah, he beat me, you know what I mean? Was a win. The referee stopped the fight in the 10th or 11th round. You know what I mean? I was disappointed, to say the least. You know what I mean? I really wanted to win that world title fight. My life would have changed. I mean, I like everything is for a reason in life.
Right.
That's why I didn't win. Maybe I could talk to you today. The way I'm talking to you now. You know what I mean? I see a lot of guys, a lot of ex-fighters. You know what I mean? Bless your soul. You know what I mean? I see a lot of guys. You know what I mean? The brunt of boxing. You know what I mean? What happened to them? Frankie Randall. You know what I mean? Perfect example. Frankie Randall. He had a lot of problems with you know what I mean, with the booze. You know what I mean? It's no secret. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to box and to, you know what I mean, have that in your life, it's sad to see a lot of guys. Sean in Toronto, he's here. You know what I mean? I don't know what, drinking, I guess, and boxing don't mix, because after your career is over, you know what I mean? A lot of guys,
take to the bottle.
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's a tough game, and after you're said and done, nobody cares about you, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, your past, you know what I mean, they could say a lot of things that, yeah, you're has been and whatnot. You know what I mean? They care about when you're in the ring and, you're entertaining. It's an entertaining business, entertaining people, they cheering you on and stuff like that. You know what I mean? People live through through your experience, what you've gone through. And, some people want to be like you. Some people, it's a tough game to see a lot of ex-fighters, not doing well,
Yeah, it's got to be sad, man. It's they got nothing really to fall back on other than boxing, and boxing,
Right.
they're giving up, and at this point, it's either they're going to train or they're they succumb to their dark side and end up drinking or getting into drugs or something like that. I've known a few ex-boxers like that as well, that they've succumbed to their demons and they fell hard from grace.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's great to see that you haven't. You're doing well. You're a referee. You're still fit. You're still in the gym. You're still training.
Yeah.
And, yeah, man, it's good to see that, man. That's positive. It's pure positivity, man. We love it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I try to live my life on a positive note. I try to do my best. I go to the gym and try to help some of the young cats that's in the gym. But you'll see them one day, and then you won't see them for a month. You tell me you want to be a fighter. If you want to be a fighter, son, you got to be in the gym and you got to be, training
every day.
Yeah, you gotta, I know, I mean, today's world is different. You got a lot of social media stuff happening. You got a lot of different things for kids like games. You'll get a lot of that. My son plays on the games all the time.
Oh, mine too. 14 years old. He used to do jiu-jitsu like 4 days a week. He used to compete, and then he became a gamer. So yeah, I know video games, man. This youth today has to get back in the ring, man. Is what they need to do.
Yeah, we always say they're not hungry.
No, they're not.
They're
They're
not
not
hungry
hungry. They're not
because
hungry.
because mom and dad, we give them everything they want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true. It's
e-
true.
everything they want. They got mommy to always fall back on. They got daddy to fall back on. And we don't want nothing to happen to our kids, right? So we want the best for them. So
Yep. We
we'll do
spoil
that.
them. We spoil them.
Yeah,
That's what we do. We spoil them, and in turn, we make them soft.
exactly. There you go.
We make them soft, man. That's what we do. We make the kids soft.
We make them soft.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
no more clapping upside the back of the head when they
No,
do it.
you can't do that. You can't do that, or else
Right. You get in trouble. You get in trouble.
you'll be in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
You got children aid. You got all these things. Yeah. So we're making the kids soft, but for the fight game anyway. For the fight game, I don't know against the other sports, but for the fight game, yeah. So anyway, back to that was pretty well the Don King story. The one thing about Don King was I remember we're in San Diego, we're in Century City, we're in the limousine, with Tyson and everybody. I was in a limousine with Tyson. I was like, I can't believe it. So
Wow.
Don King goes. He said this to me. I never forgot. He said to me, Boucher. He goes in his pocket and he comes up with a swat of cash. He goes, Boucher, you want to be a champion? You want to have some of this? This is what you're gonna get if you fight and be a champion. Because I'm here for you. He was the
Oh,
best. He's a Don was the best. Don was the best. Everybody talk. Bad about Don. I can't talk bad about Don because Don made me some money. Don made me some money. I bought my first property with the money that Don made me. So everybody, all the promoters, they're pretty well all the same. You got the Shella Finkles of the world, you got the Duvas, and you got the rest of the promoters.
yeah.
They're all about making money.
Oh, definitely. It's a money making sport, man. That's what it is, really.
Exactly. And today with today's guys, with Mayweather, Mayweather, he wasn't the way he was that he is today. I knew Mayweather when he used to hang out in Vegas with us at MGM Grand. He didn't have nothing. He was, Mayweather. I take a picture with Mayweather back in the days when I was a champion. He was just a regular kid, just hanging out.
Hanging out, amateur up and comer.
Yeah, just like up and comer, hanging out. In Vegas. He wanted to talk to Don King back in the days. So when he turned pro, I met a lot of good people along the way. Happy to meet guys like Mayweather. Oscar De La Hoya. I met a lot of champions along the way. It was
Legends too. A lot of legends in there that you keep mentioning.
yeah. It was a good career, and I got nothing really bad to say about the sport. I came out of it pretty well because I know how hard I train. If you don't dedicate yourself mentally and physically to the sport, things will happen. You gotta stay away from the booze. I know some people it's hard. They say the booze is it's a disease.
Yeah.
It's a form of disease that people get addicted to. It's addictive thing. So whenever addictive thing, it's a disease, right? So people they can't. And I'm not here to change anybody, but I mean, that and boxing after that really don't mix. You know, but to each his own. And I like to say that I had a good career, and I just want to stay positive. And the way the world is today, very negative negativity that's going on in the world today. I mean, it's sad. It's sad to see the world, being divided the way it's being divided. I mean, that's the politics side of things. And
That's it.
yeah, you'll never agree with everybody when it comes to politics.
Nope.
What I mean? My mom always said when it comes to politics and religion, what I mean, people are not gonna agree with you. So,
No, that's true. Grant, do you have any questions for our guest here before we wrap it up? Because I know we're getting to about that time.
We are getting that time. Thanks very much for joining us, Road Warrior, Donovan Boucher. Fantastic stories.
Canadian legend right here, man. Canadian legend right here.
It's funny. Sorry, my friend, not my friend, my son. He said, Daddy, you're an icon. I go, what's an icon? I was an icon. I'm like, yeah, you're like an icon. I'm like, yeah, I was. Yeah. I'm like,
all right. So you have no further questions, Graham?
No.
Nothing. All right, Donovan. Honestly, thank you. It was an honor for you to come on the show, man. Thank you very much. I'm glad the way we met. It was pretty funny that we stumbled onto each other like that. I'm happy that you came on my show first. Thank you very much, because I know you know some of the other guys. Definitely would love to have you on in the future again, because I know you got tons of stories, man. You got an entire career of reffing as well that you could talk about. Fight fans out there, I hope you loved our special guest today. If you love it, jab that like, hook subscribe, and knock out those comments. And man, view it, like it, share it. That's what it's about, man. Donovan, again, thank you very much for coming on, man. Knuckle up always, guys. Knuckle up, baby.
Respect.
That's it, baby. That's it.
All right, respect. Thanks, guys.